Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get all the latest updates.
In terms of, I say that my walk is always counted in steps. It's not kilometer because it's not a machine. So about 1 million steps now.
Wow, that's a lot of steps.
And this adds to 32 million steps I've already taken.
Since?
I started to walk from 2009 to Copenhagen from
Okay.
Oxford.
Oh wow.
So I'm basically an anti-poverty worker. I work with people living in poverty. I say living because they can come out of it.
Yes.
And I did in my life.
Okay.
And with the help of other people and government and so on. But what happens is if you're living in poverty, you're extremely vulnerable to external shocks.
Yes.
Your mother could go sick and you're in trouble, the father is not around, you're in trouble. And therefore, one of the biggest hit on poor people living in poverty, especially on women, who are hit first, worst, hardest, is climate. And it's happening from 2009. At that time in this country, nobody knew. So I was carrying a bag for Judith, who couldn't go to school because she was carrying firewood and water. So
And
20
Judith
kilos.
was in
She was in Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah, Uganda and me go very close for that reason.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was there doing what is called climate hearing.
Okay.
My approach to understanding climate and its impact was to go to women first and ask them, is climate changing? Is it changing for good?
And that's an excellent point you made, because a lot of people do not realize how climate impacts women. And women and children seem to be the first casualty of
Yes, and
climate
they seem to be
change.
the casualty most of the time for anything that bad happens. Yeah, but in this case even more so. And they hit really first, worst and harder. Many of them lost their lives, livelihood. And you know, if you're living in poverty and if you're in a rural area, it takes about 8 to 10 years to have a cow as your capital. And when something hits you, you sell them in distress. And it takes double the time for you to recoup that. So that's the reason. But the most important thing is, yeah, it hurt them so badly. I felt they haven't contributed to the problem. So when I was traveling for Oxfam as a popular campaigner for climate, I felt I had to do something because I'm inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. So he said, you know, when you see extreme injustice, you got to take a stand. So I took a stand. I took a holiday from my job.
Okay.
And I wanted to walk because I wanted it to be my thing, it's not as a paid employee of Oxfam.
So you took Mahatma Gandhi's idea of taking a stand, you started taking steps.
Yes,
Steps
absolutely.
towards change.
And no, it's because of him, you know, he said that, look, walking is civilizational DNA. And he was really smart. And he was one of the greatest campaigners that we know. So he knew that if you start to, we march, walking is different from marching. He marched and I marched. And you look at the Dundee March, you can see what happened.
So you march,
Yeah,
you don't
I marched,
walk.
no, because other people join me from time to time and so on. And I marched.
What kind of people join you? Where do these people
when
join you
when
from?
I'm traveling here across Europe, you know, school, church, even mothers,
Okay.
yeah, they just even this time they just don't walk all the way because I walk very fast. Because I walk fast because I wanted to demonstrate an urgency of now. So I'm known as a power walker. So from time to time I walk fast, but they will walk with me as
So
much
you
as they
get
can.
these companions all through your walk.
On
you
and
meet
off.
many
On
different
and
people
off.
that take a few steps
Yes,
with you in
yes.
solidarity.
But sometimes I say, no, I just wanted to walk by myself because that's the time I start to digest what's going to be happening. Climate impact is hurting everyone, but it impacts some people who are already vulnerable the worst and they haven't done anything to cause this. That's the most key message I'm saying. And therefore, they have a right to call for justice. That's why I'm called a climate justice walker.
So that's an excellent thing for everyone to start talking about climate justice. What does this justice look like to you now that the world leaders are meeting in Glasgow and they're going to discuss and deliberate on this and hopefully come up with a plan? What could be this plan for climate justice?
There are two things. One is everybody is talking about zero carbon and so on and so forth because that's a must.
Yeah.
You can't afford it anymore. You know, we are not in a context of a problem. We are in a context of a catastrophe. You know, and it's the darkest paradox of our time. People who are cost least are paying most, and that need to change. So therefore, you got to address the whole thing about the warming of the earth. 1.5 says about you can do. That's one you're doing. But my issue is that people who already been hit first, worst, and hardest, they have not caused this, and you need to produce the kind of money that you promised. It's 100 billion pocket money, for heaven's
For the
sake.
rich, yes.
And even that we haven't seen the color of the money. That's one color, money, technology, and it has got to come now. That decision is easy because they just took a decision on COVID when they have to do the vaccine. So why is it? It's because now your people, even in Britain, people are suffering now.
Yeah. But even with COVID, we saw the inequalities. We saw the developed world manage to produce vaccines, vaccinate the population, even give booster dose, whereas so many in the global south are still struggling to get that first dose.
Absolutely. And they're interconnected. And my issue is that, look, emission-driven growth has produced obscene wealth. It has also contributed to reducing some poverty, to be fair. But at what cost? Plundering this planet. And another thing, the most important, this associated with my Gandhian association is Jai Jagat, which is actually visualizing an economy which is non-violent, an economy which is sustainable, and it is actually defined by justice. Yeah. So what is happening because of climate change? Conflicts are exacerbated.
Yeah.
Tiny between two people over a bucket of water, resulting in extreme violence. That from people, household, community, region, countries, it is a perfect storm of a global conflict driven by this particular emission driven growth. So therefore I'm saying it's time for us to reimagine. Is it impossible? No, it's not pipe dream. Chris Hunk, my friend and the writer of Drought, Floods and Fire, he Center for Hazard in Santa Barbara, California.
Okay.
He said, no, push, this can be done. Why? We are $100 trillion economy. How much money do we need? $1 trillion a year.
Should we, people are moving to Mars, and the whole idea is to have a holiday on Mars. Are we neglecting the planet with all these aspirations of traveling across the globe?
This is what happens when you're obscene amount of wealth. You go really overboard, even otherwise. Now more so. And of course, you don't feel accountable to anybody. How do the biggest IT companies make money? Because of my data.
True. So
Yeah.
you
And I need to be paid for the data,
Absolutely.
So I think it's not just them. I think it's across the board. My approach is not to fight anybody or to name and shame someone. My approach is look for the good that is happening. There are companies which are behaving quite well because they think it's the right thing to do. And I'm asking, do the right thing more.
So a more equitable distribution of wealth is what you
It
suggest would help.
and it can happen. I mean, equitable is an interesting idea, but I think if you look at any supply line, look at the amount you contribute to, and what you receive should be proportionate to that. That's what fair trade. That's why I do fair trade work as well.
Okay.
Now, fair trade should become main trade, because otherwise you'll put them in a ghetto. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. My final question to you. With the Prime Minister Narendra Modi coming here to Glasgow for this summit, what are your expectations from him for India and for the world in terms of how India should have the climate goals and achieve them?
I think from the little I know of him, one thing I like about him, if I may say so, he's quite a visionary. He has actually seen sun energy. I'm saying please throw that light across the poorest people.
India is fifth largest in solar power.
Yes. So I mean, here, and if he envisions something, I think he's capable of doing something. And so I'm hoping that he will be one of those great visionaries in this time. And this is a planetary civilizational crisis, not a small thing. And here is when we need not politicians, not the regular politicians. We need statesmen who are servant leaders, who can imagine, like Mandela, who took on a violent way to oppose apartheid, but he's then said truth and reconciliation. So I'm hoping that there are some great leaders, all of them are great leaders, but who want to really be the great visionary who can take other people along with them. That's
So
what
you
I'm
do
hoping.
believe that the key to India perhaps now is renewable energy and cutting down on coal?
That is part of the answer. There are other answers. There's not one answer. There are many. Since 2009, I have found hundreds of ways in which citizens have taken initiatives.
Give me 3 things that could be done in India that could benefit India and the world. And this doesn't have to be the politicians taking a stand, but these should be something that you think India as a country, right from citizenry to those in power, can do to bring down emissions, to help save the planet.
Look, I think one of the poverty is energy poverty. And that actually transformed the life and livelihood. And we now have enough kind of technological knowledge and ability. Sun is one, but you can look at other things. That's one path. Yeah, and we are already there. And indeed, per unit cost for sun energy is much less now than it used to be. So we can find ways in it. So address the energy poverty issue is number one. Number second thing is we got to get agriculture back on its feet.
Okay.
Every single country has emasculated any support that can be given to the smallholder farmers. Just about every country. I know this for the last 30 years. Let's get that back on foot. Where you want to do soil, water conservation, seeds that are drought resistant, or indeed excessive flood resistant and so on. There are a number of things already being accumulated in terms of knowledge. And we got to put the money for it to happen. That is number second. The third one is we got to have all of this coming right from the level of the child, from the school, from everything that we know. It is not something happening elsewhere, it happens to them. People talk about next generation. No, 60% of our population is under 30. They are the present and they are the future. Indeed, in Africa, some countries, 60% is under 18. So I think we got to integrate this whole thing through the education. And I tell you, women are in the front line of this battering. And they should be the front line of leadership. And that's what happened when I'm coming across Britain. Most of the leadership in most of the little councils to towns and cities have been given by women. And they've taken their own initiative because they are worried about themselves, they're worried about their children and the next generation. So these are the 3 things I'm asking for.
Fantastic, Push. 3 amazing suggestions your way. The path has been laid out for you. Now it's up to us to work on it and save this world, stop climate crisis, and hopefully do that little bit that we can do to save this planet.
And it's got to be non-violent.
And it has to be non-violent.
And so therefore, the great Gandhi's, he was a visionary.
And follow Gandhi's vision, as
Yes.
Pushpa says.
Thank
This
you.
is Ruhi Khan for Mojo Story from Glasgow.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.